Bosh. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It is Connor. We're back here with another episode of The Room Mill. Before we get going, everybody, please like, please comment, please subscribe to the One Leeds Fan Channel. We're going to be with you through the Euros. We're going to be with you through this trying time, this testing time, where everybody's going to be focusing on England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, other countries, of course. No, they're not, because, oh, yeah, Ireland and Wales aren't in it. And Scotland won't be for long. Banter aside, everybody. The Euros is kicking off today. That's big in the football calendar. But yeah, we're going to be with you throughout to be offering you all the One Leeds streams and all this sort of stuff. So you don't have to do the research and I can do it for you. Don't you worry about that. We'll have your updates, your rumours, your transfers, all that sort of good stuff. So make sure you're clicking subscribe and, yeah, post notification bells switched on so you are aware every time we upload. We have merchandise link in the description below, everybody. We have a Patreon account as well, link in the description below with that one as well. And shout out to all of you who are available and ready to tune in today. Okay, everybody. So the first bit of news today, we're going to be speaking about Joe Rodon. So, yeah, it feels at this moment in time when it comes to Leeds United that there's certain assurances that we know right now. What's the update? Well, we know that Mourinho is certainly interested in him. They've got a bit of a gap in the market at Fenerbahce. Him and Mourinho got along really well. I've mentioned this several times. Rodon sort of did, you know, was part of Mourinho's plans, and going forward, he was more of a, you know, he's a rotation option and all that sort of stuff. And you do wonder whether or not they're going to be able to realign out there. It's a very, very good standard for someone like Joe Rodon to be able to go out there and just don it, you know, be part of, I believe it's Champions League football as well. If I've got my calculations right, they finished on 99 points and they're all kicking off, which was quite funny. And that's the standard of Fenerbahce when they're compared to the other club. But yeah, Fenerbahce, I think we're all fans of them, aren't we, in comparison? But yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens there. But Fenerbahce is still massively interested, according to reports in Turkey. And obviously, you know, reports that we've seen over here in the last coming days. The news from Ipswich is that apparently, of which we didn't know a fair bit ago, McKenna is a big fan of him, a big fan of him. I've mentioned this on the streams if you guys haven't seen it before, but Burgess and Wolfenden, they're going to need a bit of an upgrade. And there is absolutely no doubt that Joe Rodon is an update right there. Joe Rodon is a profile of which would suit a Premier League newly promoted side. And worst case scenario, Ipswich were to go down, Rodon would be, as we've seen before, a top championship player who has that asset, or those assets, I should say, have been dependable, been reliable, which are one of the crucial, or two of the most crucial assets when it comes to football. You know, having these the defenders available to you consistently, and I think that's a real bonus point for Ipswich Town. So weirdly enough, at this moment in time, when it comes to the rumours, it is Fenerbahce, it is Ipswich. I think Tottenham are very of the opinion that he's going to be leaving. I murmured that fee a while ago. Could be wrong. Could be very, very wrong, but the big update recently with Leeds United was the fact that Leeds were maybe struggling, from what I've been told, money-wise when it comes to Joe Rodon, which means obviously he's extended his deal by a year at Tottenham Hotspur, an activation in his contract, but we all know that's going to be broken, and a team is going to come in for him and pay a fee for Joe Rodon. Obviously, Spurs won't let him go for nothing. They've had him there for 4 years, bought him from Swansea, obviously in 2020, and they're going to want a fee for him. So whether or not Fenerbahce are going to be able to afford that sort of money, I don't think 8 to 12 million is going to be that much for them. Ipswich Town, I mentioned this on a video the other day, it's going to be a splash in the water for them, really, going up to the Premier League, getting all those incredible financial rewards. And it's the opening of the transfer window today, everybody. I forgot to say that at the start of the window. It is the opening of the window today, the 14th of June for EFL clubs. So, going to be absolutely fascinating to see what happens. Why as well, because I do feel that Joe Rodon has, and is this us falling in love with the lone player again, as we mentioned several times when it comes to Leeds United, Ben White and others previously, mostly Ben White really, but is it mostly that you would suggest that it is? That is why we get hurt by these things. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how this works, and we'll wait and see, everybody. But Joe Rodon for me is a top player. Let's get into a few of your comments. Rodon won't go to Ipswich. Lag. There shouldn't be a lag. Skipp unrealistic. Morning, you legend. Love the channel. It's actually coming home. I'm certain of it. Snazzy intro. Morning all. Yeah. Hope you enjoy, everybody. As I say, always trying to improve. Yeah, and as Jim says, love a signing today. Wouldn't that be great? So, yeah, that's the situation with Rodon, everybody. I can't provide any other update from that. The only snippet I was made aware of, and it wasn't from the Leeds side, it was from the Tottenham side, that money might be an issue with Leeds United. So is he going to be coming back down to the Championship? I think it was unlikely anyway, because I thought that a newly promoted team would come in for him. And I'll be honest, I think that's. I was sort of thinking yesterday, maybe, but then obviously you're still seeing the links with Fenerbahce. You're still seeing sort of like fresh links with Ipswich as well. John says, how the hell is 8 to 12 million out of our reach, especially with the Red Bull investment? It doesn't make sense. I think it does, John. I think it does. Look, I'm not. Leeds have a certain amount to owe back by the 24th of June, which is around about 33.7 million quid. We're still paying installments from years gone by, believe it or not. And I can tell you that for a fact. Some of the big players that Victor Orta brought in, we're still paying money for that, for those individuals in terms of installments. We're still paying big wages, big wages. We've spoken about Pat Bamford before. The contract he's on is staggering. And, what we've got to consider here is it's not just a free-for-all. It's really not a free-for-all. We don't just have this income right now, just because Red Bull have come in also doesn't mean that we can stretch to a magnificent amount of expenditure just because Red Bull have come in. We have to work within the constraints. We have to work with restrictions. So it's not likely that we're going to go out and just spunk 12 million quid on Joe Rodon without maybe a couple of outgoings. So Leeds are then able to balance the books and work it that way. There is a lot that goes on behind the scenes when it comes to football. But as I've mentioned to you guys before, installments are still being paid. They are still being paid. Wages are some of the highest in the Championship right now, albeit that is going to be helped, obviously, by, a summer of transition. But Leeds have still got to offload a lot of these loan players, of which Leeds are still paying for their contracts, for their wages, all that sort of stuff, the bonuses that come with that. So it's not just a case of Red Bull coming in and Leeds going, right, okay, well, now we're going to spend 50 million quid on signings. We're going to get Rodon in. We're going to spend 15 million on Silas. We're going to tie 2 or 3 players down to contracts, which can be, 4 to 5 million quid each over a certain period of time. Football doesn't work like that. And I think that's where it's going to be. Leeds have to work this in a way which is smart. And that has been articulated by the Parag throughout. At the start of the season, it was, we have to be smart. And that is the way we're going to go about it. What I was told is it's going to be 1 in, 1 or 2 out, 1 or 2 in. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I think what this individual was referring to was potentially the big players. So, a Nonto and a Somerville maybe going out, and then 2 big players coming in, and that's balancing the books properly. We're probably going to make a little bit of a profit so we can put it elsewhere, which makes sense, making a little bit of capital, as I mentioned previously, insurance, and going about it in an intelligent way. You can't be in the Championship sporadically spending loads of money. PNS restricts that. So yeah, the Red Bull investment will work to a certain level. It will, and it will give Leeds increased capital, but we've also got to look at, that might be able to spend, let's say hypothetically, if we're looking at a loan signing, let's say if we're looking at an Ashley Phillips from Tottenham Hotspur, that might enable Leeds United to spend 90% on his wages. We might be able to cover 90% of his wages in comparison to 40% of his wages. It doesn't just mean because Red Bull have come in, Leeds are going to spend 12, 15, 18 million quid on a signing. That's not how it works. So, yeah, we're going to have to wait and see what happens when it comes to that. Dave's not happy. He says, we are clowns of clubs. Emmett says, I think Archie would be brilliant. Number 6. Also, we have to wait for more variable with our tactics, and lineup can be predictable. We could be timed out on Rodon, and before we sell and recoup the 30 million for PSR, we can't do anything. So he may move to another club. And that's right, Alfonso. If we're still waiting on that money, which is why kind of you're looking at some of it getting done hopefully in the next week, really. That'd be my ideal, just him getting done in the next week, getting rid of him. We love him. It'd be amazing if he stayed, but it's not realistic. And we're talking in a scenario here where it's going to have to be Somerville or Archie. Because that's the capital you're going to get. You're not going to get enough money from Elie, in my opinion. You're not going to get a decent fee for him. But then again, his stock is high. I mentioned this yesterday. His stock is really high right now. Could you get 8 to 10 million for him if we've got unbelievable agents working on the case and unbelievable scenes at Leeds United when it comes to people in the background working on these things in recruitment? If there is a French side who's desperately looking at a goalkeeper, an experienced goalkeeper who's still relatively young, if we're able to do this whole recruitment deal in the right way, we could get Illan Meslier for 8 to 10 million quid profit. Not profit, I should say. It'd be 4 to 5 million quid profit, which would go against the books. We brought him in for 5 million quid. That'd be amazing. 10 million quid for Illan Meslier. Oh my God. Go get another keeper for cheap, which you can at this level. That would be amazing. I don't think that's going to happen unless, we do see towards the back end of the window some mad things happening. Clubs might be struggling for first team goalkeeper, not just in England as well, over Europe. So that's a big possibility. That could definitely happen in this window. And that's sort of why you have to be patient, but it is difficult right now for Leeds to be patient and for Leeds to have this mass expenditure and outgoing because they need incomings right now. Look, we have to be realistic. I think, and incomings when I'm talking about, money. Leeds need money right now. So, Cody Jami, let's move on to him. It looks like he is set to reject the Leeds United contract offer. We knew this. We don't need to get into this, but, it does sort of accentuate the fact that Leeds' right back scenario is very, very tenuous at this moment in time. We are we are extremely light in that area. Luke Ayling has moved on. Archie Gray, we're hoping to see him in central midfield if he sticks around at the club. On top of that, we are looking at Sam Byram, who, if we're being realistic, looks better at left back right now. And that's because when he's been at Nottingham Forest, when he's been at West Ham, and when he's been at Norwich, invariably, when he's been playing, he's actually been covering at left back. He's a rotation option. He's managed to get an extended contract there from Leeds United, another rolling year, which I'm fine with in the Championship. No problem with that. But it does mean that Leeds at right back are void. We've been speaking about Rasmus Christensen multiple times on the channel. Will that deal be something that Leeds aren't able to get over the line in terms of moving him on? We've spoken about spreading the payments out, utilizing amortization and looking at that as a factor, spreading the payments so Leeds can sell him on for less in the future and get profit against the books. That would be helpful. Of course it would, but top level. And it's funny when we're looking at Rasmus, and I've said to you guys, I've mentioned this on a tweet, there is no way in hell or high water I would have him back at the club. And listen, there was a few things he said when he went to Roma, which I thought, nah, I don't like that. And I don't need to go over that in terms of atmosphere and grandeur of Roma in comparison, blah, blah, blah. But he is a below average footballer. And I understand Brendan Aaronson's coming back. I understand there was a bit of a comparison between Brendan Aronson and Rasmus Christensen, technical ability, blah, blah, blah. We saw glimmers from Brendan Aronson. We saw nothing from Rasmus Christensen. Danish fans are very, very transparent when it comes to Rasmus Christensen as well. I'm actually stunned he's got a Denmark cap. That's how staggered I am by it. But the problem is, you will see lots of fans saying, well, he played for Roma, and they won't look at the context of the games that he played. Go and have a look at the games that he played for Roma. Go and have a look at the reviews, the forums, anything that you can literally translate into English, and look at the reviews of Rasmus Christensen, the abuse that he was getting online, which isn't warranted. But when you're looking at the caliber of Roma and some of the players within that squad, Lukaku, Abraham, Pellegrini, players of that ilk, Mancini, and then you've got Christensen in a Roma. So that is an unbelievable move. So I wouldn't take him at championship level. I wouldn't. And I'm not going back on that ever. I rarely change my minds on players. I've mentioned this several times. Form can definitely change my opinion. Of course, it can in terms of that player at that moment, but they're not just going to develop as a football player and become something that they're not. Rasmus Christensen is not going to develop into something that he's not, which is a good, able, athletic, technical football player who offers overlaps, underlaps, can hit a ball cleanly, and is a good defender and attacker. He's none of those things, in my opinion. So this is where we've got to really look at the puzzle of Leeds United's right back. Drame hasn't featured, but he was on the books. He's going to be leaving. Rasmus, I think he's going to stick around. I think he's going to stick around because I think when he looks at his career, he's probably going to look at Firpo. He's probably going to look at the decision that Aronson has made. Obviously, someone familiar with Aronson, with not only Leeds United, but the Red Bull network as well. He's probably going to think to himself, well, I haven't got a right move now. And if I do get a right move now, my God, my agent is unbelievable. But I'm going to stick around at Leeds. It's a lower division. If I can increase my performance levels by however many percent, I can then get a move next season. Because I fully believe that a lot of these players, have exits in the mind with Leeds United, on the front piece of their mind. I'm well aware of that. But there is no way at all. There is no way this guy should be playing at Leeds United. And I don't care, as I've mentioned previously, I don't care if he's been at Roma. I don't care if he's been part of the Danish national side. I'll be brutally honest with you. He is, in our recent history, well, definitely with Bielsa, post Bielsa, he's one of the worst technical footballers I've ever seen. I'm sure he's a lovely lad. And people batter me in the comments for this. Of course they will, because for some reason it's revisionism. Now he's coming back to Leeds and he's been at Rome and he's going to drop down a level. You'll get Leeds fans saying he's the best player since sliced bread, which is bizarre to me. However, the drop down may aid him, but I don't think it's going to aid him enough. And I think you're not going to see him move on this window, but I also don't want him to be part of that right back scenario whatsoever. I really don't. And I also think that the right back role is really important in the Championship, especially with Daniel Farke. We've seen over 3 campaigns now, he's had Archie Gray, who has been unbelievable at right back for large phases of last season. He had dips, of course he did, but then he's had Aarons for the best part of 3 to 4 years, who Barcelona wanted him, Bayern Munich wanted him. You look at Archie Gray, Bayern Munich want him, Man City are looking at him, Dortmund are looking at him, Liverpool are looking at him. All the top clubs are looking at these 2 players, and they've been so important for Daniel Farke when it's come to, his sides in Leeds and Norwich being promotion candidates. I'm sorry, the fullback is pretty important. The balance is massive. In the modern game, fullbacks are huge. They're hugely important. And to say people, I've seen people saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter. The fullbacks aren't as important at Championship level." Well, yeah, they're not in comparison to the Premier League, but it's still vitally important. Still vitally important to a promotion campaign, because fullbacks are classified as wingers nowadays. These overlaps are just consistent with possession-based sides. So for me, it is imperative that we get players in and around this Leeds United squad with quality, with real quality at Championship level. And I bet you I could name maybe 13, 14 right backs at this level who are probably better than Rasmus Christensen. So I don't want that to be a thing. I'd prefer Byram over him. I'd prefer Connor Roberts over him, who we're going to get into in a little bit. I prefer Archie Gray over him. So I think that's one that Leeds need to look at. And I just wanted to get that out there, everybody, because I think the right back scenario is very, very, very important in my opinion. Okay, so let's get on to Connor Roberts anyway. There is a few rumours today stating that Leeds United are wanting to go back in for Connor Roberts. Now, this is going to be really interesting to see what Burnley do. Now, as I'm speaking, I don't think Burnley have got a coach. They don't have a manager right now. Obviously, Vincent Kompany's gone to Bayern Munich in the most bizarre managerial appointment of all time. Now, I want to bring you guys back to what Daniel Farke said about Connor Roberts when he first signed. Now, he said, what's amazing about Connor is his experience. His age is perfect. And he said, last season, He was the team of the season right back. And he was unbelievable for Burnley that season. As I've mentioned before, offering so much when it comes to a possession-based side, which was Vincent Kompany's Burnley. And Farke was buzzing with it. Now, this is my big criticism with Mr. Farke. Shout out to you as well, Stealth Mode. Farke didn't utilise his subs enough for me. He didn't trust them enough. And I think the Stoke game was pivotal in that, in terms of it changing the tide. Gruev went in there, Nonto went in there, and Jaden Anthony went in there. Leeds was stinking. They were honking. They lost at the Britannia 1-0. It should have been more. And since then, he didn't really trust the side. So that's interesting. And I think for the rest of the season, we didn't see the utilisation of the substitutions at the right time. And look, we don't need to go over that, but Joseph, Cresswell, Gelhardt, Jaden Anthony, Connor Roberts were all part of that bracket. Now, if I'm Connor Roberts, I'm looking at Leeds United. So I've got 12 months left on my deal. I'm on 30 grand a week. He's got to assess where he's going to get more minutes. For me, there is a real opening right now at right back for him. I think the genuine expectation of Daniel Farke is to put Archie Gray into midfield. However, there is a big stipulation here of why he might not do that, and I'm going to get onto that in a bit. But if he's to bring Connor Roberts in, Connor Roberts needs assurances that he's going to be the right back at Leeds United. He's got a year left on his deal. I don't think Burnley have offered him another one, or he's not signed another one. 30 grand a week, which is okay at this level, I think, for a top side at this level. Leeds can get him out of that. Leeds can bring him in, but he will not come to Leeds based on this season. He played how many times did he start? 2 or 3 times? Did he even start 2 or 3 times? That isn't good enough. It's not good enough for a boy of his quality. It's really not. So Leeds need to give him assurances. Leeds need to let him know that he's going to be the main man when it comes to right back. This is a guy who's been promoted, I think, twice with Burnley, team of the season, and he barely got played by the manager. So that's Farke's fault. So if Farke is to play him, that's going to be something that Connor Roberts looks at. If not, his agent will look at another club. There's definitely another Championship club that'll take Connor Roberts, no doubt. Definitely one of the 3 that have come down that'll probably look at him as well. Obviously, he is at Burnley, isn't he? But one of maybe Luton or God, it's gone on my mind. Who else? Sheffield United. I mean, doubt it. Sheffield United have got Jaden Bogle, haven't they? Luton, sort of Osho. So I don't know. Don't rule out Luton for Cody Drame as well, everybody. It was obviously there in 2023. But yeah, going to be fascinating to see what happens when it comes to Roberts. Kim said, Kiran says, I don't think it's Farke's fault. Roberts was injured for most of the loan. Didn't have time to get up to speed. I'm not sure he was, Kiran. I'm not sure he was, because he was on the bench. If you go look at his transfer market minutes, he was on the bench for a hell of a lot. He's available for a selection. If you're on the bench, you're available for selection. But I do get what you mean. He was definitely unavailable for moments, but Daniel Farke had the opportunity to put Archie in midfield a lot more than maybe people are giving him Roberts credit for, in terms of he should have come in. And in all fairness, there was 1 or 2 times where he came in, he wasn't great, but it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with regards to that. Okay, Oliver Skipp. Now, big agent update, and I'm going to get onto this, everybody. So Alistair Gold, who is literally gold in terms of, I wonder if that is his actual name, Alistair. Maybe I'll have to give him a message and ask if that is his actual name. Maybe it's just because he's the golden source. Who knows? Okay, so a little bit of an update on Ollie Skipp. So, interestingly, Marcus Edwards, who you're probably all familiar with as the winger, we were actually linked to him years ago. And he's been at Sporting Lisbon on loan, and he's been unbelievable out there. Probably had one of the breakout moments of his career. He was absolutely excellent on the wing, quick, agile. In the Championship, he'd be absolutely staggeringly good. But there we go. Played alongside Gyökeres and yeah, had a really good season at Lisbon. So, interestingly enough, Marcus Edwards has essentially come out and said that he wants a permanent move away from Tottenham Hotspur. A permanent move. He's been there for years, since he was a kid, and he doesn't want any more loans. He wants a permanent move away. I think he's 23, 24 from memory. Could be a little bit younger. But he wants to move away from Tottenham. He wants a permanent move away. He's played the full season, good level, played in Europe, blah, blah, blah. You get the spiel. Homegrown talent. Now, Ollie Skipp has the exact same agent. Now, I did a bit of digging on this, and he's got the exact same agent. And I wonder if Alistair is in cahoots with the agent here. Now, I'm being speculative. I am being very, very speculative. But he broke the news on Marcus Edwards not long ago about him wanting to leave the club and wants more minutes and doesn't want to be on the bench. And he's essentially willing to go to any level. Alistair has reported that Ollie Skipp wants game time. He wants to leave the club, even though he grew up at Spurs. So it's a very, very, very similar scenario, and it's the same agent. So I believe the agent is pushing and leaking a bit of information out to the top journo at Tottenham. So I think he's leaking information about Ollie Skipp. I think he's leaking information about Marcus Edwards there, both sharing the same agent. Now, the stipulations within this deal, he's homegrown, right? So as we know, Premier League homegrown talents are massive. You have to have homegrown players within your ranks. If you don't have homegrown players, it's a big problem when it comes to, transfers and all this sort of good stuff, because there's a certain amount that you have to have within your ranks. So if Tottenham sold Ollie Skipp, I believe if they sold Marcus Edwards as well, I'm not 100% sure on how this works when it comes to the first team. Is he registered for the first team, etc., etc.? They're going to have to replace at least Ollie Skipp there with a homegrown player. That might make it more expensive for Leeds United if we were making an actual transfer offer for him. Skipp doesn't want to go out on loan. Fact. Edwards doesn't want to go out on loan. Fact. So his agent is pushing for permanent moves. Obviously, that's going to benefit the agent as well. As we know, 2 big, juicy agent fees there. And this season, he's had 861 minutes for Tottenham Hotspur, and he wants more. Now, the interesting part of this as well is he is near 24 years of age. And I think the homegrown thing is potentially going to make it a big fee, because Tottenham don't need to get rid of Ollie Skipp. They don't, as I mentioned, I keep saying it, but that homegrown thing means that he can stay there. Ange can BS him and say, look, mate, if you want to stick around, and basically what I'll do is I'll give you a few minutes if you try your worth and displace the absolute terrible midfielders that we've got. All right, mate. So if he says something like that, then Skipp's going to stick around, and there's probably a likelihood that, he's at Tottenham for the foreseeable, maybe signs a contract, an extended contract, who knows. But if Leeds are able to put an offer in, he's worked with Daniel Farke before. Farke loved him. Skipp and Farke had a very, very good relationship, and it's going to be fascinating to see how that would work. Now, for people who are saying that wouldn't be a good deal, give your heads a shake. It will be an absolutely unbelievable deal. Ollie Skipp in the Championship, he was brilliant beforehand. He might have even made team of the season beforehand. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. But the big news is, after doing a little bit of digging, I know that Marcus Edwards and Ollie Skipp have the same agent, and the agent is definitely leaking stuff to Alistair Gold. Now, a lot of you guys might say, well, Connor, why is that significant? It's significant because he wants it. They want it out in the press, and they want clubs essentially to start bidding. That's what they want. That's what clubs always do with agents. They always do it. So it depends. Whatever happens. Kelvin, you're a negative guy, mate. What I want you to do is send me a video of you doing Ange Postecoglou's accent and tell me if it's better than this.
All right, mate. No, mate, I don't think that Ollie Skipp's going to go to Leeds United, or listen, mate, I'm a big fan of Mark Viduka and Harry Kewell and Jacob Burns, but, mate, I just don't think it's going to happen, mate. I'm going to keep him around.
And then Farke will say, no, listen, Ange Postecoglou, you have to let me have Oliver Skipp back. I can give him my big German package. Pause. We're going to stop there. Right, I'm going to stop. So, yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens. Guys, I don't just want it to be news. This has to be a bit enjoyable as well. Don't have to just be serious all the time. But, yeah, no, I'm really interested to see what happens here with regards to him, Oliver Skipp. Let me know what you think in the comment section below with regards to all of this. Oliver Skipp, yada, yada, yada. Now, let's get on to Max Verber. Thank you, guys. Thanks for give us a rating out of 10. How bad those accents are. But Kelvin's always digging me out, and I'm watching you, Kelvin. I'm watching, and I can't take criticism, remember. So bear that in mind, my friend. But the Euros, Max Verber as well. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on Max Verber. Dug out a quote, what he'd said about I think it was about 10 to 14 days ago, and he has said he will not decide on his future till after the Euros. He's turning his phone off, essentially, and the full focus is going on the 3 to 4 weeks, however long Austria are in the Euros. And he's not listening, essentially, to any conversation regarding his transfer in and or out of Leeds United. Now, what do we know? Borussia Mönchengladbach are struggling to meet Leeds' fee. Leeds' fee is reported to be 12 to 15 million euros, 15 million euros, 12 million quid. I think the exchange rate sort of is around about now, might be a little bit less. And Borussia Mönchengladbach throughout the entire season have said, look, we're not matching that. He's had a really good season there, but listen, it's going to be interesting to see what happens again, because if nobody meets that valuation and Leeds are to sell other players on for fees, it doesn't really matter regardless, does it? Kelvin, I know, mate. I know. Let's get into a few of your comments. Let's have a quick look again. Some of your comments. Yeah, keep getting them in, everybody. And do you know what? What I will say is, after just having a little bit of a look around there, Marcus Edwards, obviously, it is still the same agent. But I believe, and this is why I was a little bit curious about the whole Sporting Lisbon thing. I believe he is actually at Sporting Lisbon now. So shout out everybody in the comment section below there. But he still does have the same agent. And potentially they've leaked something to Ali Gold there regarding the potential future there. Because Marcus Edwards has had obviously that breakout season at Lisbon. I actually thought he was on loan. Looks like he did sign there. But yeah, that agent talk is still there, everybody. That agent talk of them having the same one. And yeah, Skipp maybe pushing for that move. So we'll wait and see. On that one. But yeah, everybody. So Skipp, Edwards, that's probably the agent news today in terms of obviously, getting moves, forcing moves maybe, and then wanting more minutes. So there you go. Keep an eye on that one. Verba, we'll all have to keep an eye on that one as well. See how these Euros go. Rodon, Drame, Con Roberts. But yeah, everybody, really appreciate you sticking around for this one. It's been an absolute pleasure. Watch from the start. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
I hope you've enjoyed it, everybody. Leeds United, listen, we're going to send you Ollie Skipp, and then we're going to send you Joe Rodon, guys. All right, mate? And then we're going to send you Ashley Phillips.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, shout out to Scotland for tonight, or do want the Germans to win? Who knows? Let me know if you can in the comment section below, and I'll see you in a bit. Peace.